And we are back, folks. Now, the elephant in the room that we have not talked about is the injury to Daniel Jacobson in the
I think
first
giraffe
minute
in the
of the
room
second
is more
of
fitting.
fine, the
I'm just
giraffe in
saying
the room.
anatomically, if you
Daniel
look at
Jacobson's injury.
Jacobson,
Yes,
you would think
you're right.
giraffe, not elephant.
More of a giraffe than an elephant. Yeah. Yes, that's fair. And that's why the expression is the elephant or giraffe in the room, the weight of the person. You don't often hear the full expression, but there it is. Um, so he injured his leg in the first minute of the second game of the year. We obviously had no idea what it was until the next day. He broke his leg, turns out. So Painter said he was basically most likely out for the rest of the year. Seems pretty certain, unless they've got some sort of miracle cure in the back of their bottom of Mackey Arena. So that leaves
Ugh.
Purdue without their starting five. He'd started both games that count for this season. Now Purdue had to throw in Will Berg, and as we discussed, Will Berg did not acquit himself how we would have liked, especially on the rebounding front. Now, trying to kind of Frankenstein's monster the center position with Berg, with First a little bit, and even with Trey Kaufman-Renz. So that's four guys out there trying to play one position. How does the loss of Daniel Jacobson impact the ceiling of this Purdue team?
Yeah, I did. First of all, do we need to have a conversation about Purdue fans? I thought it would be better this year. I
What do you
thought there
mean?
would be some weight taken off. I didn't think we'd go full pessimism so early.
I have not seen full
Oh
pessimism
man,
yet.
it took like 2 seconds for like a doom and gloom post on our little depot feed, and I'm just like, what are we doing? Like,
I mean, let me caveat that. I have seen some negative people who are like, well, this is going to be a long season. I really thought this was going to be my escape from football. And then
also,
this, it's
long
like,
seasons are good. The longer the season, the more like it was a really
right.
long season last year.
Really long season last year. Yeah, the longest.
Yeah.
So that's a long season. We would love another long season. But yeah, it's been Purdue fans. We've got to accept that it's just a different team. It's just a different team this year. I'm national player. You're gonna have changes. But back to my question, or
Yes, sorry.
avoiding it.
Mhm.
What does the injury to Jacobson do for the ceiling of this Purdue team?
Like it obviously lowers it. I think the shot blocking above everything else is Jacobson just he was the shot blocking guy. He's
Yeah.
7'4" and like he's pretty mobile and he jumps quick. Those are like good
Mm-hmm.
things for a defense, especially a defense that's going to give up this many points in the paint. They also gave up 50 points in the first game of the season in the paint. A lot of that was transition, so that number is a little murky. It wasn't all like getting beat in the half court, but I think Jacobson's good. I think he's going to be really good. I don't. In my head, there's a couple ways the season goes if he stays healthy, and I think there's a very real possibility that if there was anyone on this team that was going to wear down towards the end of the season, hit a freshman wall, it would probably be the 7'4" guy who weighs like 210
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
and has to
sense.
bang against baddies all year. So like I think there was a world that we might get the best of Jacobson early on and then kind of just like, ooh,
He'll
there's
hang on
another
till the end of the season. Yeah.
12-minute Jacobson performance because he got a couple quick fouls or whatever. So I think the gap between the ceiling we perceive is a little closer to what we can still get to. Because I think those same concerns exist for Burgess. Because he's
Yeah.
physically not as ready as Jacobson was. He got bullied a couple times against Yale in a way that you're like, can we not? Don't get pulled around for rebounds. But I think Trey Kaufman ran at the five. I think maybe even the way Painter's like, look, I don't have a good defensive team. I'm going to embrace this offense. You could convince me that was Purdue's highest ceiling, regardless. And not having Jacobson might make it a little easier. I did think Jacobson and Kaufman and Wynn were good on the floor together. So that hurts. But
Yeah.
I think you could talk me into certain things like Caleb First starts giving like 15 really good minutes every game.
Oof.
I think
Okay, try to convince me of that.
I still love his mobility. I think
Okay.
he's actually a good partner with Braden Smith in the pick and roll because he moves so well that Smith gets him the ball in compromising positions for the defense. He had a pick and roll and he drew a foul on the guy. That's going to happen a lot just because he moves so quick. I don't, he's not great against big guys, but he's actually a pretty good help defender. He can guard on the perimeter. He's shown himself to be an elite rebounder in the past. His rebounding rate early on
Mm.
in his career was really, really good, particularly
The thing
playing next to
I don't know that I would say elite rounder. He was a good
his
the
rebounding
second half of your
percentages.
sentence there. The second half of your sentence there is the problem early in his career. So we're talking 3 years ago.
I get it. I'm
I
just saying
mean, what no, no, I understand and I hope that for him and I wish that would happen, but we didn't see hardly any of that last year.
he didn't play
Two
last
years
year.
ago, well, I mean, why do you think that was?
Uh, an illegal gambling circuit.
Yeah, that's it. But I mean, you could chalk up maybe some of it to Gillis was just playing so well that you don't want
His
to take him
uh
off the
his
floor.
defensive rebounding percentage last year was actually the highest of his career.
But he played like
I'm just saying. You he has rebounded better every year of his career, rate wise.
okay. Then I guess my pushback on that is why isn't he seeing the floor more? Especially when Purdue needs rebounding.
All right, so there's a syndicate of doctors.
I'm gonna stop you. If you're busting out the word syndicate out of nowhere, just right through it. I don't know what's happening.
I I just I don't think it's going to be as clean. I think Painter is going to have to do more work and like be matchup dependent and like game dependent,
Yeah.
and it's hard. I think with Jacobson, it was a lot easier because you are just going to trust
Yeah.
him for 25 minutes a game, and so it
Mm-hmm.
becomes harder. I think there'll be a certainty. Ironically enough, this whole season is leading into. I think Purdue's going to surprise some people. I think they're going to be good, but like teams like IU terrify me, which is not something you hear from me very often because I
Is
think
that now
IU is
because of
a
the center
crap
position?
basketball program. Yeah, because I think two big guys
Yeah.
is going. I mean, we saw it with Yale. Yale had a very big boy at four. Townsend, big guy. Camden Heide did not enjoy having to guard him in the
He did
post.
not. He did not.
So
So
when you have teams that have two bigs and one of the bigs is like pretty mobile and whatever, like it's going. That's where Jacobson is really going to hurt not having.
yeah. So I mean, we saw Will Berg got the start in this first game without Jacobson. So the first
Mm.
opportunity Painter had to change the starting lineup, he threw in Will Berg. I think you and I both agree we didn't get what we needed out of Will Berg in this game. Do you think Will Berg continues to start, or do you think Painter shifts the lineup yet again going into the next game?
I actually do like starting with Berg.
Okay.
I think theoretically it is your best rebounding lineup. Um, I think for whatever reason it's been a little easier to get. Well, not for whatever reason. It's easier to get Kaufman run the ball at the four when he's being defended by a four,
Sure.
and that's only really forced when Berg is out there.
Yeah.
So I like that early. Berg still is very effective setting screens for Braden Smith. It gets Braden Smith shots early. Smith hit a pull up early. Like I think I'm going to be charting pick and rolls throughout the year. I think we're going to find that a lot of pull ups for Braden Smith come when Berg is on the floor, just because of how much space he creates. So I don't mind it early. Purdue's not. They've been good early. The offense is good early. Um, so I do see him starting. I think I don't think there's a major benefit like throwing first in there, and Burgess is not ready to start. Like
No.
So I don't think you want to go ahead and start small because I think you want to. I think
That was
Painter
my
wants
next.
to.
That was my next question. I mean, Trey Kaufman-Renn, I think he said in the post-game press conference, he prefers to play the five. It's where he feels most natural. It's kind of what he played in high school.
Sure.
So, do you don't see a scenario where Purdue goes with a starting five with Trey Kaufman-Renn at the five, and say you throw in maybe Heidi starting, or even maybe first, maybe Colvin, whatever you need to do. You don't see that happening for Purdue, at least as a starting lineup.
I don't think so. Not until we see the starting lineup struggle to start a game, for sure, for a couple games because I Purdue's gotten off to good starts, and I think if you're looking at anyone on the bench that you want to start, it's Miles Colvin, and you can just
For
switch him
sure.
in for Jakari if you want to go that way. Um, but I think Purdue, I I think Painter with both Heidi and Colvin and some of his choices off the bench, he can read a game pretty well and change
Oh
up
yeah.
change up a lineup based off one or two guys right away. And he subs early anyway. So you're subbing in, 4 or 5 minutes into the game. I think there's a good versatility to that. And I don't think Berg's minutes are more valuable any other time.
Okay.
And so I feel like for whatever reason, it's worked best the first few minutes of the half.
Yeah. So it sounds like maybe going forward, Purdue is going to, when you look at the box scores going forward, Purdue might swing wildly from one type of play to another, depending on opponent.
Yeah, that and I think their finishing lineup is just going to be not Berg.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Doesn't make free throws, slower on the
right.
defensive end. So I just think they
And
have a starting lineup and a finishing line.
yeah, and Painter has a few guys on the bench who he clearly trusts to go in there in crunch time and play important minutes. And I think your initial point about losing Jacobson does probably lower the ceiling for this team, but it's not as if it lowers it, catastrophically. It's not like the
Right.
ceiling and the floor are now, almost touching. Purdue just has to figure out which lineups work. And, we know, as we said, we got Trey Kaufman-Renn, we got Fletcher Lawyer, we got Braden. Who works best with those with those three guys? Who are the two who you're going to bring in and make these three guys better, and who can take advantage of opportunities when these three guys give them to you? And that to
Yeah.
me is the test for everybody else on this team.
And right now, Miles Colvin is the only for sure answer. I
Yeah,
think it's been pretty consistent that he has been the fourth best player for Purdue with
I
Jacobson
think that's
gone now.
fair. Yeah,
Like, and and I think we talked about this early on. Him becoming that player is like the best case scenario for Purdue.
yeah,
So
yeah,
like I get some of these wins and like minutes haven't been as clean as some people want. I think Purdue is in the exact situation they want to be in. I think there haven't been really any real red flags. We knew all these issues about the big guys.
yeah. We knew
Jacobson
the
hurt,
defense was going to
obviously
be
not good.
different.
Yeah. Um, but I think there's been enough good stuff from everyone else that if this team gets better as they did last year, I'm not going to say every Painter team gets better towards the end of the season. Um,
Most do, though.
but most do. I mean, the only reason like 2 years ago that wasn't the case, and that was a freshman laden team
Yeah,
overachieving early in the season was the biggest issue.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but like last year's team got better. There's no reason this team shouldn't get better because these are experienced guys, just not experienced in this way, and they're going to get more run. And I, if these guys, yeah, even get just marginally better throughout the year, it's going to be a really good Purdue team by the time they get to March.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's a good place to end it. And I'll just say this is just going to be such a different season for
Mm-hmm.
Purdue. It's going to be a different type of basketball to watch. A lot of people might enjoy it more because they're probably going to be a lot more scoring, a lot less, grind it out, get Edie the ball with 12 seconds left and, see him work, get him the ball with 5 seconds left and see him work. It's a different type of offense. It's a different type of defense they're going to run as well. Some people might find it more aesthetically pleasing. I don't think Matt Painter is one of those people. Matt Painter would rather win every game 60 to 58 than he would, 90 to 84 or 90 to 82, whatever. So It's going to be a different season, but it's going to be an exciting season regardless. And Casey and I will be here with you all throughout it to cover the highs and the lows. And, until next time, let's boiler up.